Hello once again. Hey, it's Dan here in Virginia. It's just a couple days after Christmas. It's really cold, 17 degrees. I trust you had a great Christmas. We certainly did here in Virginia. And one of the finest gifts I've gotten, when my son drug in a great big box, he got me a STINSON, ParkZone STINSON SR-10 airplane for Christmas. This is a model of a very famous 1930s civil aviation airplane. In fact, back in the day, it would be comparable to what we would call a Lear, kind of a corporate jet today. These planes had a 9-cylinder radial engine, and I think they had a top speed of about 130 miles an hour, and they were very, very plush in their day. In fact, the most famous one was flown by General Doolittle. It was called the Shell Oil Doolittle Stinson. Recommend you go on YouTube and look that up. There's a very interesting history and a description of that plane that General Doolittle flew that made him very famous. These planes would carry about 4 or 5 people, depending on how they were configured. But when you see General Doolittle's plane, they're incredible. They're all has a I believe it's simulated wooden dash, but they have steering wheels, big round steering wheels, just like you might find in an old Cadillac. Very interesting airplane. Anyway, my model airplane here is the ParkZone SR-10, and I've been working on it for the last couple days. I've already made some modifications to it. This is not a real big plane. It has a wingspan of 49.6 inches. Has a flight weight of 42 grams, which is a little light, but not too bad. You can see the gull wing design of this thing makes it very interesting when it flies. It also has flaps. These flaps, they're optional. You have to add an additional servo under the wing, which I did, but I don't know, I probably won't use them. They don't look very big, so I don't think they'll slow it down very much. But since it's new, I hooked them up. I've already upgraded it somewhat. I've done my signature hand painting of the prop tips. Probably go to a different prop. As soon as I break this one, probably go to an APC. But immediately I took out the ParkZone 30 amp ESC that came in it. I put in a good old Turnigy. The Turnigy, I put in a Turnigy Plush 40 amp ESC with a 5 amp 5 volt BEC. And the reason for this, as I mentioned before, is the 5 amp 5 volt BEC is required to feed all these servos and to power my Hobby Eagle A3L gyro. To keep them all happy without having a brownout or effect, you need that 5 amp 5 volt BEC. So I immediately replaced it. Just took out the ParkZone that was in there, so I hope I can sell it to guys at the club or something. They seem to like these things. So anyway, here she is. I got her together. It has some great, what looks like really robust landing gear system. Each one of these plugs in at the sides. It doesn't go clear across like a lot of metal. You plug it in, and then they're held in place by 3 screws, one here, one here, one here. But it looks pretty robust, and these are hard plastic. They're not only glued but screwed together. And interesting is that I fly off a grass field. As you know, pants don't last long on grass fields, but these might last because these wheels are 2.5 inches, and a 2.5 inch wheel, it might work if the grass is really short. But I went online, and the guys on the forum said, hey, you can put a bigger wheel in there. So I have ordered Dubro Super Lights. These are 2.5 inch wheels. So I went to a 3 wheel. He says you got an extra 1/4 inch. So that's a 1/4 inch up in the top you can go with. And so I went to a Dubro Super Light 3 inch wheels. I just got them on order. So we'll see how they work. And they certainly should help on the grass. It's got these interesting braces underneath it. These are solid braces, but you can see they've got little pins here. Hope you can see it. And they have 2 kinds of pins. This kind you just stick in if you're going to leave the wing on permanently, which I intend to. You just put them in, you put a little tape on there and hold them in. Otherwise, they got these sort of a clevis pin like you'd find on your lawnmower or your garden tractor or something like that. But it's they're pretty stout. They're unlike the Sports Cub. These are actually brace the wing. So another thing is this plane is easy to balance. I like to look at the balance in the sheet. They recommend a balance point between 55 to 65 millimeters. So what I do when I set up a plane, I simply split the difference. So I took 60 millimeters from the leading edge of the plane, 60 millimeters from here, measure back, I put a little dot, make a little X, and I put a little extra piece of this heavy duty plastic, I don't know if you can see it or not, so my CG stand doesn't indent it too much. That's real easy on this plane because you can see right at the edge of this strut attachment, if you draw a line straight across, that's 60 inches back. So you balance it right on the line. And I got a balancing jig I made. It's pretty wide. I use it on the planes that have these kind of braces, and it put it right on those spots. And sure enough, I didn't even have to move the battery. I've been test running a little bit. You just put the battery in the center of the battery box on the bottom. I hope you can see it here. You just put it in there. I just had it in there for test purposes, but just throw it in there, strap it down. It comes with 3 ties, but way too many. I took one out. I didn't like the hook and loop that they had in there. They had the white fuzzy stuff. And when I do my hook and loop on the airplanes, I put the hook inside the airplane, and the fuzzy part I put on the battery. So anyway, I had to rip their white stuff out there and put in my own with the hooks on it, because my batteries have the fuzzy portion on the battery itself. So she's all set up. Weather's bad. Probably won't know when I'll get to fly it, but they say it's a pretty docile flyer. It's more of a scale type airplane. It's not an acrobatic thing. They say it will do light acro, but I was sort of amazed by, when you look at it, to me it looks short, and I think it's because the body is sort of stout, sort of a wide-bodied airplane, and that's the way they made them back in the 30s. It's very graceful in flight. In fact, if you watch that General Doolittle video on that, they talk about when these things fly, they held 100 gallons of gasoline in 3 different tanks. But the old joke about the people that flew these things was that when you land, you always want to top off the oil tank and check the gas, because this good old radio engine, I believe it was 180 or almost 200 horsepower. Radio engines were designed to burn a gallon of oil per hour of flight time, and they only held 6.5 gallons of oil. So you can imagine, you went on a very long flight, you certainly want to check the oil. You might have plenty of gas left. Check the oil and top off the oil and check the gas, because you're probably going to need more oil than gas. So anyway, I hope she's a good flyer. We'll find out when the weather breaks. And I just checked online. It is true, ParkZone or Horizon Hobby is having a sale on these right now. I know my son paid more than this, but you can pick one of these up, plug and play right now for 120 bucks. So if you're thinking about a new airplane or want one of these, this is a great time to get it. So hope you like this intro. Safe flying, and I'll see you next time.